Okay, so it's been a minute since I have done one of these, what was supposed to be weekly vlog videos, but unfortunately, holidays came into came into play and kind of derailed some plans for that I had. And then the last couple of weeks I've been pretty sick, so getting back in the groove of it though, and here I am. So hopefully this marks me getting back on a regular schedule of these weekly vlogs. So this is going to be a little bit more than just what I did this last week. I'm going to try and review, talk about December, and then so far what I've had going on this January, and just kind of like my thoughts for the future that I'll run through real quick. So December, as I had mentioned before, was World Ember. And if you have not seen the previous videos, I don't know what World Ember is. It's a writing challenge for world building. And so I took the time to focus on the world I'm creating for the comic book series that I have. And so I built out that world, and originally my goal was 50,000 words. I knew I wouldn't make it, but I wanted to, give myself a lofty goal to go after. I should have been more realistic with myself, and setting more realistic goals is much better, and you don't stress yourself out, and so I very quickly transitioned into saying 10,000 words. That's the basic goal that World Ember sets for anyone that participates, or World Anvil, who hosts World Ember. And so 10,000 became my goal, and I did hit that. I hit just over 10,000, and I still had ideas for a lot of other articles that I wanted to write, but just wasn't able to get to, or I wasn't ready to share them before I wrote the comic book series, because I didn't want to give anything away. And so I have lots of ideas, and I could have gotten a lot more words, but I am happy with where that 10,000 was. I did think after I wrote this 10,000 words that was enough source material for me to be able to not just create this comic book series, but also run ideas for some of the other series that I had ideas for, which of course is all dependent on how well this first one does. And so I am very happy with that 10K mark. I definitely am, or I have built a foundation that I feel comfortable going from, and I think that I am in the right place to actually write this. And so moving on, after, or at some point this week, I will begin writing the outline for the comic book series and trying to figure out the pacing for the story as it transitions, from beginning to end. What that looks like, I have some general ideas that I've already worked on, but writing it down and using a writing method, I think we'll be able to get those ideas far more explained and written out in a way that makes sense and paces it well. Right now, I think maybe a 3-book series is kind of the best method for doing that. And my goal is still to have this written by the summer months. That might be a bit ambitious because I am not entirely familiar with the comic book writing process. I don't know how long editing might take. Editing the dialogue. I'm not saying I want the comic book ready by the summer, but I do want to have the script done. And so I think that is entirely possible, given that I am still committed and have successfully been doing the create one thing a day. As long as I still focus a lot of that on the comic book series and don't diverge or take too many breaks to focus on other projects that I have, then I think that we should be good. But that is a to be seen. Outside of December, because throughout the month of December every single day was writing, I think I took maybe 3 or 4 days of breaks from it that I just took for myself, mental health, and just relaxed or focused on some easier content creation, such as silent journeys. There was some stuff to do, even though I didn't have to record, or I should say I wasn't really able to even record. There was still some content creation to do there. This last week going off silent journeys. It is now on YouTube. It's on the same channel as this. It has its own playlist on my dashboard, so you can find it there. It's now in video format. That is to say that I do not have video to accompany it technically. It is just available on YouTube with its own graphic to differentiate each episode. And so it's now available in just one more place. At this point, I do not even know what other places I could make it available. If anyone here also listens to Silent Journeys and you have a preferred app where you find your audio and you don't have Silent Journeys there, please let me know. I would love to get it on there and make it fully accessible to as large of an audience as possible. But with Silent Journeys, also spent some time working on graphics and trying to update that podcast a little bit. So I'm hoping to go into this year with not an overhaul, but definitely some more work put into it and trying to up the quality of that podcast. I have some ideas for it, but I'm trying to find where that line is, because the point of the show is to share these stories of people with mental health and their journey with it, and it's not to promote it. I'm not so I have to ride this balance line, because sharing these stories, I'm not really sharing them unless I'm finding someone, or someone is finding the podcast and is listening to it. But to do that takes marketing. So I'm struggling with that line of what marketing is going to continue to show that I'm genuinely wanting to share these stories and not just trying to build an audience. Because for that project, it really is just about sharing these stories and not, trying to get my name out further. I have other projects that's for. So I'm going to continue grappling with that, and that will impact what the podcast has as far as the beginnings and ends and intro and outros, that kind of stuff. I did take a break this last week as a transition from writing all these words in World Ember to the actual writing of the comic book. I wanted to take a little bit of a break and just give my brain some time off and some time to reflect on some ideas before jumping back into that outline and continuing with this project. So for now, what I'm able to report from this last week is I worked on 2 different ideas for one board and one card game, and so I kind of built those out a little bit, general ideas for it, built out some rules, just kind of expanded that concept to better understand it, and those are 2 projects that I intend to carry forward as well once the comic book series is written and on Kickstarter and ready to go. Then I'll be able to go back and really start to create those 2 games. I have an interest in content creation far beyond just these videos or podcasts or the comic books. I find myself interested in engaging in a lot of different creative processes and a lot of different creative projects. And so you'll also see that this content creation vlog is going to cover those as I engage in everything from developing board and card games to this comic book series, podcasts. I also have an idea for a really simple kind of arcadey video game that I want to create. I did create a couple of video games in high school, and I have on and off engaged in that hobby before. I've learned code a couple of times, lost it a little bit, easier to gain back. But that is something I'm engaging in, is trying to relearn a coding language and be able to build a simple game. And so these are all the kind of different projects we're going to be talking about as I complete this year. And in all likelihood, maybe I won't continue to do day-to-day once this year is complete, but as I did before this, and as I'm sure I will do after, I will continue to engage in this creative process in as many different ways as I possibly can. I have just come to find that engaging in the creative process is just one of my favorite things to do. I feel happy when I do this, and so it's not something I want to give up or kind of let be set aside. So That being said, I think that I have concluded what I wanted to share today, and I just wanted to say I appreciate you for coming here and listening to this and engaging with me or my work in any way. So, Happy New Year, and I hope that you have an amazing New Year. Thank you.